Hello, my name is The Pharaoh and I'm with USAstrojax.com and APClub.net. Today, we are going to be going into the world of yo-yos for my tutorial. Now, this isn't a trick, this is actually a request from a member of the AP Club forum, Jela, or Hela, I don't know how it's pronounced. However, she is having issues with her AP Club flex gap. Okay? So, she is having issues with widening and shortening her gap. Now, she's had her yo-yo for about a year. I personally do not know what the exact problem is. So with this tutorial today, I'm going to show you how to effectively reset your yo-yo. Okay? So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to start off on the side with the X, with the sticker, and there's going to be 3 screws. Okay? Now this is going to take, now you can use any smaller head Phillips screwdriver, that's the plus end. This is the actual screwdriver I won out of my contest from USAstrojax.com. So yes, the same screwdriver for the Saturns will work with this yo-yo and most other yo-yos. So okay, so let's start by taking this apart. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So we are now going to take this top part apart. And we are going to have a look at what is inside and how this yo-yo works. Okay? So now, if you notice, if you have the gap screwed in anywhere in, you cannot take this cover off. So what you have to do is you have to turn it so that it widens the gap, and if it doesn't, putting your finger right there and holding onto there, twist it until you cannot twist it, or until it just feels like it's going nowhere. Okay? Then after that, the top should come off without any problems. Okay? So now let's look at what we have so far. So far we have the yellow rubber ring, the outer disc, and then we have an inner disc here. Okay? Now for this next part, do this portion in a place either on, the reason why I have my black shirt here is, first off, awesome shirt, pick it up, USAstrojax.com. Second off, it's really good because you're working with small parts that are on springs and they easily pop out. So you want to make sure that you can find whatever you're doing at all times. And a big tip, do not do this on carpet. Okay? That being said, what we have here, this is how the flex gap works. Okay? First off, you have like below this sticker, there's a little nut. Okay? A little nut with screws. Making sure, okay. So you got the outside, and then there's a nut on the inside of this. Okay? Now what we have here is we have a threaded screw, and then we have spring actuators, and then we have a grooved plastic piece. Okay? So now what the grooved plastic piece's purpose is that's what the clicking you hear when you tighten or loosen your yo-yo. That's the click. So now, what this does is this keeps it from freely spinning in and freely spinning out. This somewhat locks it in place. It actually does a very good job. Okay? So what's actually going on is when you turn, this fits on like this, and then when you turn, you're actually screwing the axle onto the nut. Okay? So, now, what we want to do is we want to take the springs out. Easiest way to do that is put it on your dark surface, and make sure you keep track of all your pieces. Okay? 3 sets of springs, 3 sets of actuators. Okay. So now what we have is we have a half a yo squared of your flex gap that can spin freely now. Since it's not inhibited by your spring thing, it is able to spin freely. Okay? So now, if you notice when you turn it, you cannot tighten it or make it loose. Okay? Now let me do something with my string. Okay? So let's take that all the way. So then now you also notice that you can take off this plastic part. Okay? So now it spins pretty freely. Okay, now also you can notice that, you know, if you have your string all the way out, this is the lowest the gap can go, and that's the widest your gap can go. Okay? So now how to effectively reset your yo-yo, what you want to do is you want to take your black plastic piece and fit it. You want to just take it off, you know, make sure there's nothing, you know, nothing going on down there. Then you want to take your black piece that is fit for that nut, and you want to put it on and push it all the way down. So essentially your gap is 0. Okay? So you push that all the way down. Okay? Now before you put your springs on, you want to pull the sides out slowly so that your black part is at the furthest out it can possibly get. Okay? So right here, that's as far as your gap can possibly go. Alright, then after that, what we have to do is we have to put the springs back on. Now this part is an absolute pain in the butt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this part, and then I'm going to show what happened, you know, I'm going to start it again after I put the springs on, because I'm pretty certain I'm going to screw up. It's going to take a lot of time. Alright. Okay, I'm on my last one. So let me show you the easiest way to put them in. Okay, so you have a thick part, and you have a thin part. Okay, what you want to do is you want to put the thin part into the spring, and then in the back side you put the spring towards the outside of the yo-yo. You just lay it down, and then pushing the spring in, you push it down. Okay? So now what we have is we have all 3 springs in position. Okay, now this comes the frustrating part. What you need to do is you need to align the 3 springs along 3 different grooves. Okay? So now you're going to bring that up and slide it into position. Okay, it is absolutely imperative you do not move your yo-yo during this part. Okay? Because if you rotate it from side to side, your springs will launch out and it's not fun. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to place your protector part back in. It's already starting to want to pop out, unfortunately. Okay, so then, before you put your rubber ring back on, notice in 4 different places around the yo-yo, there are nubs. And they correspond with four separate holes on your rubber ring. You have to line these up or your ring will wobble immensely, and that will severely affect your play. So what you want to do is carefully align it, then you want to rotate it so it's snug, and I just popped my spring. Alright, see, this is why you have to be very careful, because you will pop your spring and it becomes immensely frustrating. Let's see if I can pop that back in quickly. Alright, good. Okay, so now that you have that all back in, you put your center back on. Oh yes, and with the center back on, you want these little poles facing up. Alright, so you put that back in, and then you want to place your outer cap back on. Okay? So then after that, you want to put your screws in. So remember, when you're dealing with plastic, screwing things in plastic, you want to rotate it counterclock to the left until you hear it pop. So what that's going to do is that's going to set your screw. Remember, you want to do that before you screw in, or else you have a very good potential of stripping the plastic threads, which will ultimately screw up your screws. Well, it won't screw up your screws, it'll screw up your yo-yo, which is not cool. Alright, so come on. Where are you? Okay, something is not lining up right. Alright, there you go. Alright. So then, screw that back in. And got one more to go. Okay, so here's the last tip from me on this. with this yo-yo. You know, with this yo-yo having rubber rings, you want to make sure this outer cap is very tight. You know, because once it's very tight, it's going to make the yo-yo as symmetrical as possible, okay? You want it to where a decent amount of pressure will not turn it, okay? So now when that's done, you want to rotate it all the way the furthest out as possible, and then you want to simply rotate it back in till it's all the way, until the gap is as small as it can possibly be. Then rotate it again to where the gap is the widest. Okay? Just like that. So possibly a couple places where you may have troubles from looking in the yo-yo is, first off, you may have twisted it so wide that the screw is not taking. You may have stripped your screw. Okay? So that's the number one thing. If that's the case, you should be able, from feeling, I don't want to take it off right now, but I gather that you could probably take the sticker off. You could take your screw into your local hardware store, and you should be able to replace it. It should be, they sell they sell nuts. I'm sorry, I keep saying screw, it's a nut. You take your nut in, which is on this side, you take it in your hardware store, and see if you can find a replacement. If not, check your springs. Make sure, well, your springs should be fine if you're hearing the clicking noise. Other than that, I would check your screw, your center screw. That may be stripped. If that's stripped, you will not be able to open and close it because it won't be biting into anything. So then what you want to do is you want to just try manually, you know, just pulling the yo-yo apart like this, seeing if you'd be able to adjust your gap that way. So yeah. So then, after that, you're able to put your string back on, wind it back up, and boom, there you go. That's how you do it. This is the Pharaoh with apclub.net. Thank you very much for visiting my small shop today. Have a wonderful day.